What's going on, family? Scrapbook Boxing Museum of the Forgotten Fisticuffs series. This is part 2 of Steve Belois. And we're at Ray Robinson. And Ray Robinson was in the ring with Sammy Aingott. He fought him 3 times. Ray Robinson was such a special fighter that Sammy Aingott didn't want to put his title on the line in 1941. Because he knew who Ray Robinson was. See, all these guys who knew who Ray was in the amateurs. And he deliberately was 2 pounds overweight. He came in at 137 3/4 pounds. And he got a quarter pounds off, so the record was 137 pounds in that particular fight. Robinson was 135. He was actually 134 1/4. And Ray Robinson just petrified a lot of fighters. He defeated Sammy Aingott 3 times. And Sammy Aingott had ended Willie Pep's winning streak of 62-0. He also retired Petey Cerrone. Petey Cerrone was a featherweight champion in 1937. And Henry Armstrong, as I stated before, had defeated Petey Cerrone and became the first black United States featherweight champion. Happened in Madison Square Garden. So Sammy Aingott was some fighter. Robinson also faced Fritzy Zivik, faced him 3 times. And Fritzy Zivik had defeated Henry Armstrong. That was Ray Robinson's idol. He had 2 idols, Joe Louis and Henry Armstrong. And he meant he was going to get revenge because it happened on his professional debut, October 4th, 1940. And when Fritzy Zivik faced Henry Armstrong the second time in Madison Square Garden in 1941, he stopped Armstrong. And that's what made Ray Robinson decide, I got to get in the ring with this man. Because he was in the first row watching this fight. And he took care of Fritzy Zivik. But he said that Fritzy Zivik taught him more about the game of boxing than even his trainers. Because of the tricks of the trade, the little feints and maneuvers that Fritzy Zivik would make on him. And Fritzy Zivik has 69 losses. He was one of 5 brothers. So he knew how to handle himself in the ring. And Fritzy Zivik was in the ring with everyone. Ray Robinson was in the ring with Jake LaMotta. Now, Jake LaMotta, the thing with him, he was always a light heavyweight. 1939, he was a light heavyweight champion of the Diamond Gloves. Ray Robinson that same year was a featherweight champion of the New York Golden Gloves and the Inner City Golden Gloves. And these two would meet in 1942. Ray Robinson would defeat him. They would meet again in 1943, and that would be Ray Robinson's first defeat, 40th fight. And 3 weeks later, he would defeat Jake LaMotta. And like I said, Jake LaMotta was really a light heavyweight, but he got himself down to a middleweight. And Ray Robinson at this point was a welterweight. Now he became welterweight in his third fight with Jake LaMotta. He was a lightweight moving up to welterweight, his first fight with LaMotta. So that's basically the story there. And they fought a total of 6 times. And the 6th time was the only time he knocked him out. It was in 1951, St. Valentine's Day Massacre, February 14th. Phenomenal fight that was. If you want to learn how to fight, watch that fight with Ray Robinson and Jake LaMotta. Ray Robinson was also in a fight with Henry Armstrong in 1943, and that was his idol. And he faced him in New York's Madison Square Garden. He was in a ring with Izzy Genazzo, fought him twice. Tommy Bell fought him twice. Fought Tommy Bell in 1946 for the welterweight championship strap. Bell was from Youngstown, Ohio. It's the same location as Ray Boom Boom Mancini and others. Ray was also in the ring with Kid Gavilan. Fought him in Philadelphia, and that was one of the best fights in welterweight history. Fought Kid Gavilan twice. He was in the ring with Carl Bobo Olsen 4 times, Randy Turpin 2 times. Lost his strap to Turpin in England and regained it at the Polo Grounds in 1951. Same year he won the title from Jake LaMotta. He was in the ring with Gene Foreman 4 times. One of the greatest knockouts in boxing history was when Ray Robinson caught him with a left hook. Beautiful punch. One of the best of all times. He was in the ring with Carmen Basilio. Basilio was a welterweight moving up to middleweight. And he would defeat Robinson. Robinson would come back and defeat Basilio. Awesome combinations in that fight thrown by Ray Robinson. Fought Paul Pender out of Boston twice. Lost his title and didn't regain it. He was in the ring with Terry Downs, who was also middleweight champion. Ray Robinson was in with all champions in each weight division, including Joey Maxim in 52. Couldn't complete the fight. Potassium ran out of his body. But he was in there with champions in every weight division. Incredible. Absolutely incredible. Now, I don't have Holman Williams' photo handy. It's in a scrapbook. Like I said, I'm not going to those scrapbooks looking for them. But I just want to tell you about fighters. Holman Williams, I have him ranked number 1 as the greatest black middleweight rule fighter. And I have him ranked as one of the fighters that never really got a title shot. Now, he did fight Jake LaMotta and Marcel Cerdan, but they wasn't champions at that time. He was born January 30th, 1915, died July 5th, 1967. He had Julian Black and John Roxborough. These are the same men that handled Joe Louis. He had total bouts of 187 fights, 110 wins, 35 knockouts, 27 losses. He was stopped 3 times. He had 11 draws. And I'm pretty sure it was 1 no contest. I have to double check that one. But he was in the ring with Charlie Burley 7 times. Lloyd Marshall twice. Coco Kid 14 times. Archie Moore twice. Eddie Booker twice. Let's stop right there for a moment. He was in the ring with Charlie Burley 7 times. You're talking Marvin Hagler and Hearns fighting once a week. That's basically how he fought Charlie Burley. Lloyd Marshall, one of the greatest light heavyweights of all times, fought him twice, back to back. 1 week apart. Coco Kid, 14 times. I have Coco Kid, as I stated, the greatest Puerto Rican fighter of all times. I have him ranked number 3 as the greatest black middleweight rule fighter. No question about it. Fought in every division. Up into middleweight. Archie Moore became light heavyweight champion in 1952 when he defeated Joey Maxim. He fought Archie Moore twice, back to back, 1 week apart. Eddie Booker cracked ribs. He punched that hard. Was in there with him twice. Jack Chase. Burt Littell twice. Izzy Genazzo. Little Tiger Aaron Wade. He was in there with Marcel Cerdan and Jake LaMotta and Tommy Paul. I mean, are you Freddie Steele? Oscar Rankins. You see, this is when we talk about old school fighters and how they fought, regardless of losses or whatever the case is, how much money they made. But when you're talking about fighters, careers, there's no comparison. There's no comparison. Because a lot of the fighters today would have had to fight like that. They would have had to fight 16 times in a month. You think they would have remained undefeated? Fighters we're looking at today? And there's no discrediting the fighters today. But you have to be realistic about it. Now, a lot of them would have done very, very well. But you just can't, unless you understand the game from the beginning until now, you will never understand what I'm talking about. Ken Overland, he was in a ring with him. Let's look at Ken Overland. I can't locate Ken Overland's picture right now. Let's just talk about him. He was born August 15th, 1910. Died July 24th, 1969. He fought Steve Balois. That was a very good fight between him and Steve Balois. He was in a ring with Dick Forster, Ralph D. John, Joe Smallwood, Fred Apostoli, Ben Brown, Seferiano Garcia. That's when he won the middleweight championship belt from Garcia. Johnny Rozzi, and there's our Charles. Vince Dundee, Teddy Urquhart. Unbelievable career these men had. I wanted to take a look at Steve Balois' career. As I stated, I had the pleasure of meeting him. He gave me his personal autograph. I will be forever grateful. Very good fighter with Steve Balois. This was a 2-part video. Thanks for hanging in there with me. Scrapbook Boxing, Museum of the Forgotten Fisticuffs series. All great fighters and all great fights will never be forgotten on my channel. Salute to Steve Balois. Salute to my subscribers. Salute to the all-time greats. Trying to get rid of this Blair here. Salute.